Alright, so Mereoleona is an extremely strong unit, a very fun unit, and a team that works on so many different teams. And she is coming out Wednesday night or Thursday morning, depending on where you are. She is very close to come out on Global in less than a day for everyone. And it's time to talk about her, time to go over everything she offers. I've already talked about her teams, if you should summon. Now we're going to kind of compile everything and make it much more digestible for all of you guys into one neat video. And I just want to say Mario is definitely a unit that long term is going to have a lot of value and is very fun to play with, especially if you like dot teams. So let's get started and get into her skills. So we're actually going to start with the passives first because Mereoleona does have a very intricate kit, and I think it's going to be nice to start with the passives. We're going to talk about if you should dupe her. Now, her unique passive, her LR passive is when she's at 8 SP, she gets Mana Skin. Mana Skin is going to be giving her 30% damage reduction and stun block as long as she has 8 SP and has Mana Skin. So it's a permanent effect, and turn 1, you're going to be able to make very good use of this against any type of William combo DPS team, or just long term, right? 30% damage reduction for a tank is extremely strong. All right, now her dupe passives are very important and basically make her kit. If I could make a recommendation, I really do recommend getting her to max dupe, and I'll explain why, even if you're not going to run her as a DPS. So LR plus 2 is going to be inflicting taunt on the enemy with the highest all attack for 1 turn. So this is why Julius kind of gets disabled, because Julius has to technically attack her either with the skill 2 and lower her mobility, which isn't going to hurt her in the long run in many different team comps, especially with Vanessa because she increases Mario's mobility at dupe 2. Or even just if Julius used the ultimate, right, he's not going to do damage because she's green, a tank, and has 30% damage reduction already baseline, but also has stun block. So Julius cannot stun her, so that's why the dupe 2 is very strong. Even long term, it's going to make it so where Spirit Dive has to maybe silence her if he wants to get his invincibility, and that's going to waste it on someone else. So very good usability in terms of just keeping the team alive, keeping the team able to use their skills. Now the dupe 5, why it's very good is because every time she takes damage, it's going to be inflicting burn on all enemies. Now her kit revolves greatly around burn, but also it's going to allow a lot of other units, especially Fuego, to go crazy, because when there's 3 stacks of burn, he's going to get a 220% damage increase. But why it's also very strong on Fuego is because he gets a multiplicative buff of 15% damage increase at max dupe, and then with his own skill page 25% per burn, right? So it's going to be very strong overall to have these burns if you have certain other prerequisites. But now let's get into the skills. But I definitely think that max duping her is kind of a necessity because of the skills we're about to talk about. So as for the skills, now this is definitely the most important part for the burns. This is what I was talking about. So if an enemy is taking dot damage, inflicts taunt on them for 2 turns. Now when you actually play against this or with it, you will see how strong this taunt is. A lot of the time you won't even use the ult because that would get rid of your mana skin. I keep on forgetting if it's zone or skin, but I should remember it's skin. But either way, this taunt, 2-turn taunt on a tank who has 30% built-in damage reduction, who also burns the enemy every time they're attacked, is super strong. And also being able to just guarantee, basically, if as long as you get hit once, you're basically guaranteed to taunt, right? So you're able to stop buffs almost guaranteed on everyone but Season 5 Charlotte. So this is super strong. Now, the skill 2 puts barrier removal on a designated enemy, which is decent enough because usually now barriers besides mono green is more single target. Now with the skill page, it becomes way better. We're going to talk about it more later, but it applies Mana Skin to everyone. 30% damage reduction and stun block for 2 turns to everyone. And this is so good because of the fact that you're able to spam this much quicker than you would be an ultimate. Now, the ultimate, like in terms of William, Ghost, Charlotte, all have the damage reduction in their ult, where it hurts on a skill 2, so you're able to do it much quicker. Now, the ult is basically that every instance of burn on the enemy is 65% damage increase for a total of 195%, which is how she gets her damage capabilities. But it also puts barrier removal, so you're doing raw damage, and then also you get an extra turn when you kill, which is going to be very good. If turn 1 you want to ult and then skill 2, but in a lot of cases it will be very tough to kill unless you're running a full DPS Merio, and usually would have to be much stronger than the enemy team, or they don't have a full 90% damage reduction. So in some cases you will be able to get this off and do good damage, but if you don't kill, then you're kind of cooked. All right, so I definitely think it's better not to use it in a lot of cases. Usually my playstyle is skill 2 and then just taunt the whole game until the end when you could ult and do good damage. Now the combo is going to be very useful with supporter William, okay, because of the fact that William gives 40% defense penetration and is the quickest unit in the game. So usually he will go before any damage reduction is applied. So this 89% AoE combo that's also going to be applying a burn, which is going to be very good for teams with Mereoleona and Fauna with the Fuego skill page, is going to be even better because of William, because he's quick and all that stuff. So this combo is very strong. You will find it to be very annoying, and there's going to be whole teams built around this one skill. Now, even besides William, you could also pair it alongside this Noelle to get an extra 30% damage increase. So when you pair all of that together, it becomes extremely strong, which makes Merio a powerhouse. All 4 of her skills have some usability in a lot of cases, but do not discount the skill 1. You will be able to find that even if you don't run her as a DPS, this skill 1 will allow her to be very, very annoying. Just keep on applying burns and it's going to work out wonders. Okay, so that's one thing. Now I do want to mention, especially with the burns, last thing with Witch Queen, right? Every dot on the enemy is 10% of her max HP as a heal. So imagine the fact that she applies 12 burns very easily, then it gets the Witch Queen's turn, and then that's just a free 120% her HP heal. So a lot of stuff to keep in mind. She works with a ton of units, synergizes super well, and is amazing. As for what you should upgrade, honestly, the only one you really need to upgrade is the combo and then the ultimate. The other two are fine. If you want to upgrade them, go ahead. But prioritize the combo and the ultimate depending on what you're doing. But if you're using William, definitely go for the combo. And anyway, just go for both of these. It's going to be very strong for you guys. Now then, as for skill pages, I definitely think going for Mereoleona's skill page is going to be the best. Now, as I explained, she doesn't necessarily need to be a DPS, but a lot of people will want to run her that way. But in a lot of cases, she doesn't need to be one, right? So getting at least one dupe to give everyone the mana skin, give everyone 30% damage reduction, give everyone stun block, is fine enough for one copy. Now, if you want her to be able to do more damage in a better way, to explain first of all what the passive of the skill page is, if Monoskin is present on self upon attacking, there's a 55 to 100% chance to attack after granting a 50 to 70% damage increase. Now, at 1 dupe, it gets up to 70% chance, and at 3 dupes, it gets up to 85% chance. So, if you want the damage and you don't want to go for max dupe, either stop at 1 or 3 dupes, but definitely this is the skill page most people should be running on their Mereoleona, because it would be kind of wasteful otherwise. I definitely think this part of it just makes it so much better for the skill 2. If not, her skill 2 is mediocre. Now, if you really want to just run her as a tank, Mars is, I guess. Now, if you want more for the burns and you have Mereo max dupe but not the skill page, go for this, but I think most people should just run her own skill page. This one too, and then if you want some damage, I mean, these are options, free to play, but in my opinion, you should just go. If you're gonna summon for Merio, you have to full invest. If not, just stick with mono red. Like, that's kind of how I see it, in my opinion. But yeah, these are like the main skill pages. But please, if you're gonna go for Merio, if you're gonna max dupe her, at least get one copy. You don't have to max dupe, okay? Her damage is still okay when this buff isn't up, but it would be very nice to at least get this 30% damage reduction, which is gonna be very helpful. Alright, so this is how I would build my Mereoleona. I would give her the debuff immunity when you fall below 35%, because now and in the future with teams like Vanessa, this is going to be very good, because if you fall into immortality range, when you are using the new Destiny Vanessa, that's going to be the next pickup coming out, not the next seasonal, not the next banner, but the next pickup, okay? It's going to be good because you're going to get debuff immunity and you get your 20% defense. Now, on this side, you get the skill 2 cooldown and then also the damage res. Now, the skill 2 cooldown is only if and only if you have the skill page. If not, you could go for this build where you use this to get the debuff immunity, but if not, this is for sure better. And then here, if you're going for damage or just outright like for the burn, usually the magic attack is just going to be better. Unfortunately, it's next to the crit, but the magic attack for burn, because of how much burn Merio is going to apply max dupe, is going to be better. Now, if you do not have her max dupe, then just go and opt for a damage and crit damage build right there. As for her gear, on JP, this is the type of gear I'm running. So essentially, there's 5 magic attack pieces. You want to build her full magic attack, but there's 5 magic attack pieces and 2 defense pieces, so that she's able to get some good defense while also being able to have good magic attack. Now, why it's also nice to have defense is because she's a tank and you have 2 defense pieces, and because defenders usually are going to have more defense accessories. The accessories are going to be able to buff the stats a lot more. Now, also, she does need at least a bit of help defensively, so I think this is a pretty good build that's going to work in a lot of cases as long as there's another DPS. Usually this build is when there's another DPS and she's not the main DPS, but she works as an amazing side DPS while also being able to do constant burn damage, while also having the ability to do much more damage later on. Now, the other build is just a straight magic attack build. Who has it? Nozel. So it's a straight magic attack build, okay? You run full magic attack, all 7 pieces, you'd run it like this. Okay, you get your 3 sets. Now, as for the sets, okay, if you can kind of see it, but you would go for speed, attack obviously because of the burn, and then defense works fine. This is a fine build. Now, if you want to get more specific into it, right, builds that would work out very well depending on your teams could be speed, attack. These are the 2 main ones. Now, the last one could be a couple different ones. Okay, you could go for damage reduction. Okay, if you want to get a bit more damage reduction turn 1, this set gives damage reduction. If not, you can go for damage reduction when above 90% HP. This will be much better if you have healers, but even without, on the mono green team, she should be fine because there are barriers, right? So that's going to be the thing. When you're above 90% HP, you get 20% damage reduction. So those are the 2 types of builds I would actually opt for going. Ideally, right? It doesn't need to be defense, but because of the fact she already has so much defense, scaling with it would not be a bad idea. So the last set is going to be one of these 3, in my opinion. This set's very hard to get and you cannot transcend it yet, but long term, I'm offering it as a way to actually use it. But these should be one of the last 3 sets. The other 2 sets should be speed and attack for the burn damage. So either go for a hybrid or full magic attack build. Now, as for these substats, you want to prioritize going for magic attack, defense percent, and then the crits, right? So first of all, your top priority is getting magic attack percent, getting defense percent, and then going for crit rate and crit damage last with some crit res, okay? I would recommend if I'm ranking them, 1 magic attack, 2 defense, 3 crit res for the crit damage and crit rate, all right? Magic attack, which is this icon right here, defense, this icon, and then crit resistance, this one, are the top 3 on pretty much a lot of units, okay? Well, at least Mereoleona, right? So I definitely think those are the 3 that you should go for the most for substats. For the substat slot, if you could go for magic attack, that's great. But as long as it's either any of the crits, crit res, crit damage, crit rate, magic attack, or defense percent, all of those are good. Now, for the accessories, going for defense percent is fine if you don't have a magic attack accessory. I don't think, especially if you're a whale, you should invest into that, at least to get a magic attack accessory for defenders. I just don't think it's worth the long term and won't be useful as a magic attack accessory for attackers would be. At least having multiple would be probably better than for defenders. So there is that. But for gear, that's basically it. We went over the sets, the 5 substats, and how you would build her in terms of the main stats. So we have many different types of teams, but we're going to go over a main 5 now. If you want a more in-depth breakdown, I will have a link to that in the description below for a full explanation of how the teams work with a bit of showcases depending. But there's a bunch of showcases for Mereoleona on my channel that you're able to check out. You can just search it up. If not, I will link some down below, but not all of them. So that's going to be it. Now, team number 1, I already explained a bit how this works, but it's kind of a nuking team. William gives 40% defense penetration. Noel gives 30% damage increase. And then Mario's combo is going to be turn 1 without any damage reduction usually. So you're going to do big damage. And then afterwards, if you have Merio on a more hybrid build, or just if you're lucky, I guess, you're going to have Merio apply some stacks before dying. And then Fuego is going to be able to wipe out with all his big damage increases and because of his immortality. That's going to be the way number 1. Now for this team, you can also go much more toxic where you're going to put Charlotte and then Ghost. Now, how this team could work, Summer Ghost, how this team would work, okay, you could put these 2 first if you want to use them first, but I don't think you could just put Merio first and keep Ghost here. So you want Fuego to be the last slot to be the slowest. Keep that in mind, right? You want Fuego to be slow. You do not want to give him any speed gear because you want him to last the longest with the immortality, essentially. So For this team, how it works, double damage reduction. You cap out at the 90% damage reduction, and then Ghost applies dot block. Now, once Mereoleona comes out, at least how it looks on JP, you're going to see a lot more Mereoleona/Burn teams. Because of that, Ghost is going to be very good to be able to just block the dots for 2 turns on everyone, and then afterwards he could also give all attack increase, pen, and damage increase to Fuego to make Fuego do way more damage. So that's the 2 ways I'd run the Mereoleona Fuego team. Now, next up we've got the team I kind of mentioned before, double tank, okay, with Charlotte and then Witch Queen, which is going to be healing. So Witch Queen's going to get a bunch of heals at 2 dupes. If you have Witch Queen at 2 dupes with Mereoleona, it's going to be crazy. Witch Queen applies dots, Mereoleona applies dots, and then you're looking crazy because you got damage reduction, stun block, and then he is also going to increase defense, and she's going to heal. So this team should be very toxic if played well. Now this one is very similar but a bit different. Zora just has to use his reflection, and then after that these two won't be able to really die that easily, but this is obviously a more JP team, but I'm offering solution or teams for the future because I'm not remaking this video when new units come out. So just keep that in mind. I'm just kind of, since these units are already out on JP, I could already tell you these teams, so that's what I'm doing. So Zora's going to be very good. Give the reflection damage, be quick, lower their SP, lower their magic attack, lower their damage, increase Asta's defense, so it's going to work very well. Because reflection, basically, because they have a lot of HP, they will have a higher chance to be able to reflect with a lot more damage. So let's say you take 50k, well, they could live and do 100k back. That's the reflection. Check out some showcases. Now we get into mono green territory. Now this is one of the future teams that's going to be very good if you want to run Mereoleona as a main DPS. Okay. Now reason being is because you're going to have full defensive capabilities. Charlotte, damage reduction barrier. Mimosa gives a 1-turn start of the start of battle invincibility, and then she's able to rest. Vanessa gives 2-turn invincibility that she could choose when she gives it, and also gives Mereoleona immortality on a mono green team. So in total, 3 turns of invincibility, immortality, barriers, damage reduction, blah 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 blah. So Mereoleona is going to be able to be rad 100% as a full magic attack user, and it's going to be crazy, right? Now, for this one, basically how it works is you got 3 slots. Now, this slot could be kind of whatever, right? So you could put Vanessa, okay? You could put the Mimosa, which I have no idea where she is. Mimosa. You could put Rill. Now, I do not have green Rill, so just imagine... Do I even have a Rill? No. So just imagine that green Rill, okay, this green Rill would be there. This green Rill is actually very strong because he removes buffs, puts defense increase. So keep all of that in mind when you go to that. So this slot could really be a kind of like flex slot that you could put whatever. You could put Vanessa if you want to try and make it so Fauna is going to be able to nuke and all that. That's going to be something I'll do later on as a video. And it could even be Gunduri, which I do not have on this account. So all those options will be good. Mereoleona will serve more as a pseudo DPS, while this slot will be going crazy. It could be Fauna or Linked. Now, in very few cases, you will see Langris, but Langris is just not as good as Linked or Fauna. Fauna being the best in terms of damage. So keep all of that in mind, but that's basically all the teams you could run with Mereoleona. There are some slight more variations, but I'm not going to get through all the variations. If you want to see them, check out my showcases. I'm going to be spamming a good amount of Mereoleona videos because I have a lot of fun with Mereoleona. Like, the amount of teams we have here is just crazy. So that's the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope this helped. I'll see you guys in the next one, and peace.